Yo, YouTube, what's going on? AJ here, back at it again, and in today's video, we're going to be going over what Kuro Games is giving us for free, the OP, super strong, lightning, e-boy TikToker. Just joking. We're going to be going over Xiangliyao and how he's going to shockingly burn down your bank account, even though he's free to play. We're going to cover the materials you need to build him, the weapons you need to build him, his best teams, and go a little bit in depth on that, as well as cover the echoes you need for him, talk about his resonance chains and where he ranks in the meta. But if you guys like the content on the channel, guys, make sure you hit a like, comment, and subscribe, as it does keep the lights on and support me. We do make great content on Wuthering Waves, so thank you guys for all the support, for getting me to 4K. We're on the road to 5K and then 10. I want to be the best Wuthering Waves creator. I want to be the biggest Wuthering Waves creator. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay guys, like always, let's start off with the materials. First, you're going to need 2.2 million credits. Then you're going to need 46 thunder tacit cores. You're going to also need 60 violet corals. You're going to need 20 unending despair. Keep in mind, guys, it is a weekly item like I've said before, so if you guys aren't grinding this, you can only grind it up to 3 times, gather it, then you have to wait a week. So make sure you farm those, or if you haven't, just get to farming those. Then you're going to need 182 whispering cores, and then you're going to need 175 cadence blossom. Okay, let's move on, guys, to Xiangliyao's best weapons to use for him. Okay guys, so let's go over Xiangliyao best in slot weapon. So his best in slot weapon is obviously going to be his signature weapon, Verdi's Handle, as it gives him 24% crit rate when maxed to level 90. And also keep in mind, guys, it does give a good chunk of attack, plus you gain 12% attribute damage bonus when using Resonance Liberation. The wielder gains 48% Resonance Liberation damage bonus for 8 seconds. This effect can be extended by 5 seconds each time the resonance skills are cast, up to 3 times. So overall, his best weapon is going to obviously be the one you pull for, which is completely tailored to him and is going to supercharge this unit and take him to another level. But in case you're not planning to pull for the weapon, are there any good alternatives? Well, yes, if you do have Abyssal Surges, which is the standard 5-star gauntlet, then it gives you a lot of attack percent. It doesn't offer any crit rate or crit damage, but it still is a good alternative stat stick. It does give him increased energy regen by 12.8%, which is good because you're going to want to be ulting as much and as often with Xiangliyao to boost him and take him to another level just by getting into the ult state multiple times. When hitting the resonance skill, includes basic attack damage bonus by 10%, lasting for 8 seconds when hitting a target with basic attacks. It increases resonance skill damage bonus by 10%. So yes, just a good all-around stat stick, guys. The passives are very decent, they do benefit him, but yeah, no crit stats. One other alternative option that you can use from a 5-star option, if you're looking for a 4-star option, would be Stoneheart. Stoneheart, I think, is one of the best 4-star gauntlets, especially for Xiangliyao, as not only does it offer you crit rate, which is 4% less, the attack is 100% less from the signature weapon, but then when you look at the passive on the weapon, casting resonance skill increases the wielder's resonance liberation damage bonus by 18%, lasting for 15 seconds. So it's still giving him resonance liberation bonus, it's still giving him crit rate, and it's still giving him a decent to good amount of attack. These would be my 3 best main options if you have one of these gauntlets to run on Xiangliyao. If you don't have these 3, then I guess any good attack percent gauntlet that you have that you can use, or you have multiple copies, that's I believe it's R5 in this game, guys, go ahead and slap that on Xiangliyao. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, so moving on to Xiangliyao's best teams, guys. Now, I've done a full video for this, but I'll try to like bullet point and paraphrase it and talk about it really quickly about how good his 3 teams are and who you should run. So obviously Xiangliyao will be your main DPS, the on-field guy that you want to use most of the time. And if you have Yinlin, Yinlin's going to be his best in slot. Like, this is for the standard type of team, you know, your main DPS, your sub DPS, any sustain. So Verina, if you don't have Verina, Baiji works here too. But we'll talk about the 3rd team comp, which is the craziest team comp you need to look out for, that I'm really going to personally play with just to see how fun it is. But yeah, best in slot team for a standard team comp if you want it. Yinlin gives all the buffs that Xiangliyao needs, which is resonance liberation, electro damage bonus, basically supercharging him. And then she's a great off-field She does great off-field damage, and all around just the team damage between the two is really good. Let's move on to a second team comp that you can run, which is the alternative team comp that offers different things with Xiangliyao. Now Xiangliyao offers two different types of things, but flexibility. You can either use her in an offensive way or in a defensive way. Obviously sustain is still the same, any sustain you want. Like I said, Xiangliyao offensive or defensive, highest amount of resonance liberation buffs plus CC. So Xiangliyao, even though Yinlen gives resonance liberation, Xiangliyao gives up to 38%, guys, excuse me, and she does the most amount of resonance liberation buffs given to Xiangliyao, which we know he needs a good amount of, right? And it just buffs his all-around damage, plus she offers grouping and CC to multiple targets. That way when she's finished and you rotate Xiangliyao in, you could just be going ham, destroying multiple units in this one spot, which is really good to have CC always. Plus she helps with end game and hologram bosses too. Built-in parry, shielder, lightly heals, does great sub DPS damage, or you can just put her on the Moonlit set in general and just buff Xiangliyao like crazy. Very versatile option and amazing support to have if you don't have Yinlen. The final team comp and the craziest team comp that I am going to personally use and I'm going to enjoy is going to be the dual DPS offensive heavy team comp. And we're going to talk about the sustain option for a second, as in this category, you can replace Verena with Xiangliyao as well if you want to. But first, why am I saying that? So first, Xiangliyao will be your main DPS. She provides a dual DPS playstyle because Xiangliyao is a quick burst DPS. On top of that, she gives resonance liberation buffs when she switched off the field, you know, to Xiangliyao. That's already giving you, and I believe it's 25%, which is really huge, guys. I think it's only 3% under Yinlen, but she's doing way more damage herself than Yinlen. So you quickly burst with her, switch to your Xiangliyao, then you go ham all the way. You fight everything out, destroy everything in your path with Xiangliyao. Then you can switch. You can either keep Verena on the field if you want that normal sustain and you just want to use her to heal, and just keep these two and switching back and forth if you're playing perfectly, or you can throw in a Xiangliyao for the third support option, as she can cover the sustain role for you, and this is more of a heavy offensive team comp where now you can use Xiangliyao for a couple seconds. Maybe you need CC in that moment, do your thing with her, obviously switch back to Xiangliyao, go ham again. Great, now that we covered the team comps, let's move on. Okay, let's talk about Xiangliyao's best in slot echo set, as we're going to be talking about two sets that work on him, as well as the best main stats and sub stats for him. So the two main sets that you can use for him are the Void Thunder set and the Lingering Tune sets. They're practically in the same ballpark, guys, so literally just whatever relics you have best for, just go ahead and slap those on him. As far as the main stats going to be concerned, you're going to want to go with either crit rate or crit damage, depending on what you have and what you need more. You're going to want to run 2 Electro, and then you're going to want to finish out with 2 attacks for the 1 cost. For the subsets, you're going to want crit rate or crit damage. You're also going to want attack percent. You can either use resonance liberation or flat attack for the other option, as well as you're going to need a little bit of energy regen, guys. Keep that in mind. You're going to need some energy regen, just because you're going to want to ult multiple times in Xiangliyao's enhanced state, and the faster you can get it up, the faster you can just go ham. Obviously, you're going to want about around 30%, but just keep in mind, if you don't have that, it's okay. Just use whatever energy regen you do have. However, if you don't have any energy regen, but you have great relics, then don't worry about it. Just slap that on. You'll be good to go. Just have fun with your Xiangliyao. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about Xiangliyao's resonance chains and his sequence notes. Keep in mind, guys, Kuro sometimes like to make last second adjustments or changes, but we are on the final day, so I'm sure everything is going to be set in stone by now. But for sequence node 1, or his resonance chain 1, resonance skill Law of Rains additionally launches 6 convolution matrices at enemies, each dealing resonance liberation damage equal to 8% of the skill's damage multiplier. For sequence node 2, traces of predecessors, casting resonance skill or resonance liberation, cogitation model increases crit damage by 30% for 8 seconds. His sequence node 3 or resonance chain 3, casting resonance liberation cogitation model, increases the damage of the following resonance skill moves by 63% for 24 seconds: decipher, deduction, divergence, and law of rains. This effect can be triggered up to 5 times. Wow, that was a mouthful. Moving on to sequence node 4, Vessel of Rebirth, casting resonance liberation cogitation model, grants a 25% damage bonus to all team members, resonance liberation for 30 seconds. Sequence node 5, End of Stars, the damage multiplier of outro skill Chain Rule is increased by 222%. The damage multiplier of resonance liberation cogitation model is increased by 100%. Sequence node 6, the Solace of the Ordinary, the hypercubes obtained from resonance liberation cogitation model are enhanced, increasing the damage multiplier of resonance skill Law of Rain. Overall, guys, his sequence nodes or his resonance chains, whatever you want to look at, right, are just boosting and amping up his damage a lot more. He's kind of got the Calcharo effect, where it's like the more copies you have Cal, the more, I guess, it fixes the character. Unfortunately, I still love Cal, but, you know, Xiangliyao is the power creep. But with this, Xiangliyao not only is the power creep at, you know, R0 or S0, excuse me, but every chain you do want to invest in him, or you are going to pull, is going to just boost his all-around damage, which is not bad at all for one of the Wuthering Waves characters, because I know some of the resonance chains in this game can be good and some of them can be bad, but his are not really that bad. He just boosts his all-around damage, so he gets better the more you pull. Let's talk about where he ranks in terms of the meta, and then we'll go over my final thoughts, and this is kind of like put together. In terms of the meta, where would I rank Xiangliyao right now? If you're wondering on should I build him or not, I would say with his team comp, depending on the final numbers that we're going to end up doing, depending on how we play, and ease of use is one important thing, guys, that most people don't consider. A lot of people like Gian Y over the other DPSs that are out right now, because he's very easy to use and very easy to play. It does not ruin the fun. It's actually more enjoyable for people that have something that is a busted character that's easier to access, so they can focus on the boss fights at hand. So Xiangliyao is providing that, not only against Calcharo, but even against someone like Changli. I've said this before, Xiangliyao has potential to surpass Changli and her team, because currently right now, even though Changli is really good in the game, if you were to play Changli by herself and maybe throw in Rover, Encore, Chixia, right, they're all good, but if you read Changli's kit, it seems like they're waiting for a future character that Kuro may be planning on releasing just for Changli to complete her team comp, so her all-around team damage is much higher. But with Xiangliyao, because he's got Yinlin here, because he's got Jianshin here, but especially with the Yinlin team comp, there's potential to even do more damage than Changli, so he could surpass even Changli's team damage and move him up over her. However, due to playing it safe, and due to we're gonna have to see just what we can do, how much damage we do pull off, and how easy it is to play him in multiple boss scenarios, to tower and everything like that, it's safer to say that putting him at a tie with Changli is practically fine. And where do I have Changli? In the OP tier. So it's kind of like your little debate is, you have the easy to use character that's busted versus the high skill character that's busted. So it's really up to your choice. This is going to be my final thoughts on the character, guys. Is he worth building? Yes, he's a free limited 5-star. He's got a very versatile weapon slot, weapon options, right? He's high damage. He has the Gian effect. He's easy to use. Pretty easy to build up, has 2 flexible sets. On top of that, he's just going to be very fun, and Kuro did their job with this character. That's it for this video, guys. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching my guide video on Xiangliyao. I hope to see you guys next time when I cover Shorekeeper and Yoo-Hoo, when we're officially allowed to talk about them. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Peace.